President Trump announced that Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guard member who was shot in Washington, D.C., has died. Joining us to discuss is Jimmy Graham, former CIA protective officer, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, and founder and CEO of Able Shepherd. Jimmy, good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us today. It's a sad situation because these two National Guard members had only just been sworn in, and one of them selflessly volunteered to work on Thanksgiving just so that, we can be safe with our families and friends. So in light of this, maybe you could just speak to the spirit of these Americans who choose to serve.
Yeah, we can't miss that. And thank you for asking that, because being a vet that has volunteered to serve through the holidays, especially one with a daughter named Sarah, it just hits close to home that there are still people, there's young people out there that are still patriots that are still going to step forward. And we can't make light of the fact that in a terrorist attack, one of them was just senselessly murdered.
How should we, in moments like this, how should we reflect and honor the selflessness and sacrifice of our service members, law enforcement as well? These people who keep us safe, especially during this holiday season.
Yeah, I believe we honor them by doing our part. When people step forward to do their part, a part that we won't do, quite frankly. When I went overseas, I did that on behalf of a nation, and my ask was take care of my family, take care of my country. So these people are doing their job. They're risking their lives. When people enlist, they sign a blank check. They say, whatever the cost, I'm in. I'm in to do my part of this. We're not doing our part back home, right? So these senseless laws, this, allies welcome, like all of these failed us. 4 years ago, I was on the Mike Huckabee show talking about the repercussions of that exit from Afghanistan. It was absolutely atrocious, but there's honor in serving, right? So we're doing our part, do your part, meaning citizens. How do you raise people like this? Like that, like Sarah? It starts at home, it's churches, it's schools. It is this group effort to build that person, help grow that person that will step forward and say, send me.
So, Jimmy, I understand you are a veteran yourself, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning. And if I could just tap into your experience there, what does it mean for you to serve?
To serve, I tell people there's active duty, quote unquote, active duty for the military. And that was going for me to foreign lands and not knowing exactly what I was going to do, entrusting in the intelligence community that would tell us, there was a good faith thing saying that we believe in what we're doing. Tell us strategically what you need and I'll do it. And I might die doing it, right? But then I would encourage people too, right after Thanksgiving, you have a role too. So veterans, I took an oath for life, and perhaps you did too. I am more active now than I've ever been. So I would invite veterans back into active duty. And I would also say, even if you haven't served in the military, serve this nation. Return to, I say, back to good. Let's get back to decency. Let's get back to a plan. There was nothing wrong with the plan called America. We just stopped doing it. The answer for our future lies in our past.
Seeing all the sacrifices these people make for us, I can't help wonder what makes it worth it for them. What keeps these people who serve the country? What keeps them in uniform? And what keeps them going?
I believe that doing my faith, like the foundation of everything is my faith. But even if you don't have the same faith as me, growing up, everybody had this ethical right and wrong. We understood what was right and wrong. I think getting away from that, do people know what's right and wrong? Some people want to be part of the solution, not the problem. My 7-year-old daughter on the way to school, I said, what are you going to do today? And usually they'll say something like, get A's or make Jesus famous, something like that. And she says, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. She's 7. She didn't accidentally say that. She was invested in by her parents, by her school, by her church, by her grandparents, by everybody that loves her enough to tell her the truth. So the answer to all of this is the truth. And when you don't aspire to leave a legacy, you do what's right because it's the right thing to do. And that leaves a legacy and grows healthy children. That's what needs to happen. And then some of them get called to service. And they say, you know what? I will go pay a price, possibly with my life, for this entire nation that loved me enough to tell me the truth. That's something worth defending, and send me.
Jimmy, it's hard to imagine these families going through this. We were with our families on Thanksgiving, but Sarah's family, they were in the hospital with her along her side, and now she has passed away. Families carry an emotional burden as well, tremendously, knowing their loved ones could be in danger. How do they reconcile with this, or find the strength to offer support despite the danger?
It's my thoughts and prayers are with Sarah's family. It's just horrible, and anybody that's a part of the guardsmen that were shot as well. That's everybody hopes they don't get that call, right? They hopes that they hope that they don't get that news of their loved one that they knew was serving. They knew they were out risking it, but the truth is, none of us know. So there is, I would say, don't look away from it. Honor those who have fallen. Have the courage to look at. I even talk about the Charlie Kirk video. Watch the video. Why? Because you'll find another gear. If you don't have the courage to look at the truth and what's really going on, then who will face these atrocities? So in death, we appreciate life. And for me, I've got many, many SEAL team buddies that didn't make it home. That is now fuel for me to work harder. So I did live. Their kids and their grandkids are still alive. Who's going to make a better future for them? Well, me, because I made it home. So now that's my job to continue service.
Okay, Jimmy, I would just like to ask you one more question, if I may. We talked about faith earlier. You were talking about knowing right from wrong. Can you just speak a bit more on this? What role does faith play in times like this?
That is the role. Like, it is the foundation. Like, if you believe that people were made in the image of God, you probably shouldn't shoot holes in them, right? So there's this divine gift that was the United States of America. Like, that people had the courage and the drive and the foundation on which to build. That's why it's one of the greatest nations this country's ever seen, maybe ever will see, right? There has to be. I'm not a construction worker, but I know this: you need to have a foundation before you build. So that foundation for everything else is my Christian faith. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that. I say, you believe whatever you want, but if more people were like that, then this would be a stronger country, right? You don't see a lot of people out there losing their mind when they have a solid foundation, good head on their shoulders, and they want a good work ethic, and they want to be a part of something bigger, be a part of something better. It's not specific just to Christianity, but what do you believe in? I think if people understand who they are and whose they are, they would start treating people better. There would be a sustainable future for this country. Again, this isn't some new thing for the future. It's an old thing in our past. And if we still love this country, we should consider it again.
Well, okay, Jimmy, well said. Really appreciate you having this conversation with us. Thank you.